Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryamkaravavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So we are seeing the fourth value, which is called kshanti, and kshanti means accommodation. And one thing is, uh, human being is a social being, so we are surrounded by people, right? So we are surrounded by people, and we also have social needs, right? Everybody, human being is a social being, so we seek people, right? And that's wonderful. And as we seek people, the problem is that they trigger us. They push our buttons, and we push their buttons. And living with loved ones becomes difficult, right? So there is a paradox, because on one hand you love them, but on the other hand you are either hurt by them, or you are suffering because of them, and you don't quite know how to handle it. So this is why this value of accommodation is very important. And value of accommodation begins with, even first deciding whether I really want to invest in this relationship or not. So it doesn't mean that you always have to accommodate everyone. That's not what we are talking about. You can always draw a boundary, and you can always sometimes leave that relationship if it is really not serving you, and that's fine, right? Without feeling guilty about it. But the second important thing is, now look at the other side. Everybody is going to irritate you at some point or the other. And if you start leaving everyone, where will you end up? Feeling alone, lonely, isolated. So please, you can't always say, okay, I'm going to draw boundaries, and I'm going to, because there is nobody who's going to please you and do at all times what you would like for them to do. So any relationship does require accommodation. And in fact, over a period of time, you have to become this person who, people seek, and people are attracted to you because you don't find prejudices. When people find that you are free from prejudices, free from being critical, free from being judgmental, people just like you. People are attracted to you. You're not doing it for people, but what it shows is that there is a certain ease. If people and their behaviors and they begin to irritate you, what it means is that that life is all about interaction. You're almost all the time irritated. So people have to feel safe with you. The more you evolve, the more people feel safe and secure with you, not judged. And this is something which is a lovely thing to do, and you are also free. So one thing that sometimes we would see in the ashram, some people that we thought that they were not learning anything from Swamiji, they were just hanging around and taking so much of his time and all. So we would ask Swamiji, why are you wasting time on these people? They are not learning, they are not interested in evolving, they are just like there needy, need your attention. And and you actually do that. So why do you indulge? And he used to say something very beautiful. Certain things that I have learned from him, they have stayed with me, and they have created such a deep impression that I can never forget. And what he said is, it's not easy for anybody to meet me. To meet me. So what it means is that there is a certain order. Only when you are prepared for that person to come in your life, you will meet that person. Because what is the world population? 8 billion people. What is the probability that you will meet me? Insignificant. But somehow there is something which has arranged the fact that you meet me. It is, yes, some choices that you made, some choices that I made, but it is within the larger order of Ishvara. Otherwise, it's not possible. Even if you're here, you will not come to the class. I was so touched this morning, this old man who came yesterday. So he was sitting for breakfast in the next table, and you were there, Yashodhara, right? And he was talking to somebody else. And he was saying something which really touched my heart. He says, I went to Vedanta class, the teacher is really good, but unfortunately I have hearing problem, so I can't follow what she's saying. So what it then means is, that you are connected and that you are able to benefit from that connection. Itself, there is a certain larger order. So what Swamiji said is, if somebody has sought me, if the order has arranged that you two come together, I cannot reject them. I cannot dismiss them. While they are with me, I have to nurture them. And I have to try to lift them up. If they themselves don't have the maturity, and if they leave because the time is over and they don't deserve what Swamiji brings to their life, then they will leave. I'm not trying to hold on to people. That's not, I'm a teacher. I'm not gathering crowds. So this kind of a maturity, while I'm connected to somebody, if I can just lift that person up, or at least try my best. I don't always can do what I want to do, because the other person is also a participant. But at least I don't judge and I don't dismiss and I don't criticize. And the person doesn't feel sense of rejection. That itself is a very, very, what it does to a human being in terms of their own, self-acceptance, that somebody big like Swami Dayananda doesn't reject them. And is kind to them. And is understanding of them. And perhaps this is what they have sought all their life. Some connection. And nobody was able to provide that to them. So they felt isolated, unaccepted, rejected. And finally there is somebody who is not, dismissive of them. This kind of maturity, it's something which, for me, it touches me. Because it's not a classroom textbook teaching. But it's about just to see the beauty of that human being. The person stands out because the person thinks completely differently. And so this is why there is a need for accommodation. Please see the value of accommodation, right? I first want you to see the value of accommodation, how important it is to evolve as a person. So much understanding is required before you become non-judgmental, before people feel safe with you. So, now, and you are also free, right, when you interact with people. So, both. Now, as I told you, there are 4 different kinds of people. Everybody has distorted behaviors, and in those behaviors, which then become relationship problematic, it's not like you are just passively saying, oh, I'm accommodating that person and not doing anything about it. But before you even do something about it, you assess where exactly the person is. Is the person in denial mode, in defiant mode? A person is trying to change but unable to change, or the person is changing, but it is slower than what is expected. And your behaviors change. The value remains the same, accommodation, but it's not that you always do the same thing, your behaviors change. So now what we were looking at is, if you're dealing, or if you have to accommodate a person who is in denial of whatever issues they have and it is impacting you, what would you do? We came up with some things that everybody said, listen to them, ask them questions. So these are nice things, right? But one thing which is very important, that the person who is in denial is not going to accept. So one of the most effective things is not to talk to them directly, but tell them stories. Why? Because the stories are about other people. And so they don't get threatened. So what I mean is, tell them stories means not just any stories. Tell them what we have these amazing books, like, I don't know if you've heard of Mahabharata. Mahabharata shows you a range of characters, starting from Duryodhana to Bhishma to Karna. I don't know if you know these characters. Krishna, Arjuna, Yudhishthir. And these are all archetypes. And what archetypes means is, they represent human beings. And really, I teach Mahabharata and people love it. Why? Because I don't just tell stories. Through that stories, what people begin to understand is themselves. And they also begin to understand other people and their behaviors and the complexities and the entanglements. And through these stories, there is one character in the Mahabharata who doesn't get confused, Lord Krishna. Everybody else is fumbling at one point or the other. But he doesn't fumble. He's very active, he's engaged, he's doing things. But at the same time, there is a certain lucidity, certain clarity, which doesn't bring him down. He keeps doing what he has to do. So when you study the characters in Mahabharata, in fact, sometimes in yourself you see a bit of Duryodhana. You see a bit of Bhishma. You see bit of Karna. You see bit of Arjuna. And in everybody else also, in different proportions, you will see. And if you study Mahabharata very well, you understand human nature.
It's my favorite book.
It's your favorite book, right? I love it. I tell you, it is just a brilliant book. So this is why this is a lovely way to learn about and do self-reflection. Because, see, I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about Karna. So people don't feel threatened. But at the same time, through the story, some thinking, you attract. Some characters really resonate with you. And they make you think about things. So for a person with denial, this is one of the best things to do, is to not address them directly, but to just, give some interesting stories. Everybody loves to hear stories, but they have to have a moral, right? They not just waste their time, right? So that is one way. Now, if somebody is defiant, then it's slightly different. Because the thing is that they know what is problem with them, but they are not willing to admit it with you. So I gave an example that a boy or a girl may just admit to one's own friend that I'm addicted to social media. But when you say, stop looking at the mobile, she will not, she will rebel and say, no, I'll do what I want to do. So this is a defiant behavior. In that case, what do? The strategy is slightly different. What is the strategy? that means it's a relationship specific, that relationship and the pattern of that relationship which has set in, which creates what that little bit of rebelliousness with reference to you. When you talk about it, they don't want to admit it. So what do? You encourage the person to go and speak to somebody else. You're not always the one who needs to fix everything. So this is why very often, people have to, suppose they have to overcome alcoholism and whatever, they have peer group, support group. And what do they do in support group? They each one talks about their experiences. And each one supports the other. Because the family members they have a relationship, they have something, their behaviors, it irritates them, then they get into fight or whatever. So it's not conducive. But when they find a neutral a person or a body where they can be open about it, then what happens is that they can actually free themselves. Now, I don't know, I haven't ever done it, but in Europe, people tell me that they do something called family constellation or something like that.
Yes, they do.
So what is it? Can you tell me? What does it do?
My understanding and experience of family constellations is if there are perhaps 4 or 5 key people in a family situation that's playing out something, then you take 4 or 5 people at random who in the group to play those different people. So they each know who they're playing. All they do is know who they're playing. They know you're the mother, you're my mother perhaps. Please just stand and be my mother. You're my father. They don't tell you about them, just say you're going to do that. And then they will tell the story of what's going on. And everyone will stand in relationship with each other according to their own sense of where they should stand, according to the character they've been asked to be. And then the person who's acting as the actor within holding the story, if you like, then tell some of the story and ask people to move or react in a way that feels to them. So they just move according to, and somehow the movement depicts the archetypes of the story.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's fascinating.
It's fascinating.
It's very effective.
Very effective.
It's so effective that I am afraid to go there.
You're afraid to go there?
Yeah, because I was there 2 or 3 times and it was so effective that you can get fear because it is so effective.
Wow.
I watched in one of those sessions I have been in that the person who had the role of the father and also the other roles were there. And then suddenly the main person get a telephone call. His father is just dying in a traffic accident.
Oh my God.
This goes very, very deep.
Very deep.
And you have to be very careful. The person who does this family constellation should be very experienced.
Anyway, I hope it's healing. It heals people.
Powerful work.
Huh?
Very powerful work.
Very powerful work. Wow. Okay. So anyway, so that what has happened is exactly defiant means you cannot, even if your parents are alive or your daughter or your son that you are having a problem with is alive, you're not able to have a conversation with them directly. But what happens is you simulate with completely unknown people, right? People, just random people who don't even perhaps know about your life, but in that given situation, everything just emerges, but through those people and not even through the real characters in your life. So this is a kind of a place, that means you find a place or you encourage for that other person to find a place where they can offload. It's very important. everything you can't solve. And you have to, encourage people to take some steps, some initiatives to actually help themselves. And it's very, very useful. Now, the person who is wanting to change and they admit to you that they want to change but they are unable to change, what would you do? You would have to encourage them. You would have to, constantly be by them at their side. Right? Even if they fall back, then you have to, of course, give the honest feedback, but, support them in their whole journey of, this growing up as a person. I have seen some people, I know one woman. She's married to one very famous person in Bombay. But what actually happens is when you are married to such a prominent person that everybody in Bombay knows you, your relationship with that person is you always feel inferior. I mean, at least in that relationship. She always felt inferior and she was always in the background and he was always in front, right? So her own self-esteem about herself was zero because it's always him. Any time they walk into any party, everybody's seeking him. He gets a lot of importance and she is like, at the back, this pretty person who's kind of there, but nobody kind of really takes her seriously or nobody notices her. So when she came to my class, and this is the truth, the first time she would start, because she was interested in the subject matter, and she would start talking, and she had so little self-confidence in herself, and her own self-esteem was that I can't talk about anything intelligent. I'm just a pretty, super-looking person, but I can't say something substantial. So she would lose her chain of thought in between. And then again she would feel so embarrassed because she would start talking because she was engaged in the subject matter and she was enthusiastic. But halfway through, all her complexes will walk in and she would lose her thread of thinking. And as she lost her thread of thinking, she would further condemn herself. See, I'm so dumb. So, what I did is, I said, I have all the time in the world. You take your time. You have lost your thread. I will wait. You pick up the thread and we'll all wait. We are not in a hurry. And slowly, right, she began to get confidence in herself. And today, she is so brilliant. And she has completely lost fear of asking questions, engaging, talking about it. And she asked brilliant questions. All this was hidden and totally suppressed.
And how's the marriage?
Sorry?
How is the marriage?
The marriage is good because, see, the thing is, it's very interesting. Initially, she was this pretty woman who had no voice anywhere. Now, she is articulate and she's thinking, and she's not thinking stupid things. She is able to say certain things which are profound, and she has gained a certain confidence, and her voice, her body language, everything exudes that. So she says she has found a place in the family. Her kids also now listen. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Slowly. It doesn't happen overnight, obviously, right? But over 1 year, over 1.5 years, slowly, as you begin to change the whole dynamics, you don't have to go and assert and say, now I'm important. That doesn't work.
And she came to your Vedanta class by accident, or?
Somebody recommended, so she came to. But I have seen this transformation to so many of my students, which really makes me happy. That's why I don't take Vedanta as you're coming and giving a class. That is not how I am. This is not my personality. And this is not how Swamiji was either. So you accompany the person, and when you see the person blossom, how they feel, and you see how they have evolved in a very organic, in a very natural way, without force, without any, then you feel so satisfied. I, as a teacher, also see change in faces. People look different. I can see all of that after a few years, and after, because there is a certain relaxation. But it's the whole thing about accompanying that person, empowering that person, and letting it all just blossom. And this is why in my classes I ask you to think. Because one thing about it's extremely important. Why so many people are not able to talk about things. It's not like, suppose I ask about people who demand respect, or people who are pretentious. I mean, all of us have met people like that. But very few have the courage to actually speak about it. Why?
Because we're embarrassed by our weaknesses.
Exactly. And this has to be addressed. If you don't address it, whole life you can be sitting in Vedanta class and you're still living with all these issues which are hidden somewhere within you, which influences your thinking, your emotions, but you're not able to overcome that. So one of the things is we push our own boundaries and we find freedom. Because we have so many self-imposed boundaries, so many self-imposed restrictions.
I find also sometimes in the group there is negativity when I've experienced that, when I'm coming frankly and openly, and I heard at my back, oh, there she is again,
Yeah.
And that is also frightening.
Yeah, I know that. So it triggers, when I allow people to speak and I allow people to do, it also triggers, this is the other side. And what it does is something very important, right? So as there are two things which happen. One is people are dismissive of you instead of encouraging. So people tell me this feedback that this person is talking too much and wasting our time. They tell me, right? They call me after the class and said, oh, this is too distracting for us. I said, you know what? A classroom is a representation of real life. If people start irritating you in classroom, then the world out there will continue to irritate you. At least here you have people who are willing to learn. At least learn to understand them. And not be so critical and so dismissive of them. This is your growth. So this is something that we all have to, have to learn to be a little bit more accepting, more interested. I asked them, I said, you know what, I'm interested in listening to everybody and I don't feel that they are wasting my time. Then why do you feel like that? I confront them, I mean in a nice way. Because I want them to grow, not because I am, And the second thing that happens, which is also very common, people who have another type of complex, they will blame themselves. They said, oh, see, this person can speak so well and so freely, and I'm not able to do it. Do you understand? There are two kinds of human beings. One will put others down. They are wasting our time and they are talking nonsense and they are showing off and they are like this. So it's all projected towards somebody else. And the other one is internalizing it. Oh, see, others are able to do it so well and I'm not able to. Both have to learn. Because in the classroom, the way I teach, all your things come up. And you have to recognize them, and you have to, that's what gives you an opportunity to correct it. Otherwise, when will you correct those things? So this is why what we have to do is, then that person has to, then I encourage them that no, you are not bad. Then I say something totally different. That when somebody speaks, right, and you listen to them, you don't have to keep comparing that, oh, she is able to speak and I'm not able to speak. If you just listen to them without creating a judgment, that person's abilities don't reflect your shortcomings. That is your understanding. You don't need to connect the two. You can just admire, and without putting yourself down, oh, I'm not able to do it. So these are all the learnings that we have to do. So this is why accommodation is what, when people are with you, right, and if they are trying to change, especially in the context of Vedanta, many of them are trying to change, so you support them. One of the qualities that the teacher has to have is this accommodation, not being dismissive. Gently, of course, if somebody is really taking over and going off, you bring the person back, and you don't waste people's time. Of course, you have to manage. It's not like you don't just let it be all chaos. But you have to be very mindful of what you are doing. It's not impulsive. Accommodation. In your presence, what do you want? You want people to blossom. You want people to overcome their limitations and their own self-imposed limitations. And what is your role? Not to control them and not to impose on them, but to give them that little freedom where they can, and support, where they can just overcome all of that and they can shine as human beings. So this is accommodation. The final thing about accommodation is, before I go to the next value, and that is, just as others are in denial, they are defiled, they are trying to change and unable to change, or slowly, it also applies to you. Don't forget that.
Sorry, I missed the last end of the
It
sentence.
also applies to you means we are also in denial of so many things. Please don't think it's only others who are in denial.
So it's best way to recognize that.
Yeah, and so the best way to recognize that you are in denial is life will show you situations, people will give you feedback, right? One of the easiest things to do is to be dismissive of them and say, yeah, that they don't understand, right? So, for example, if I'm teaching and somebody gives a feedback, right? What is the easiest thing for me to do? Oh, I'm so bright, and they don't know and understand anything, so they just keep criticizing me. This is the dismissive person who then is in denial. But if somebody gives me a feedback and I say, perhaps, either the person is just projecting, that's a possibility, but perhaps there is something for me to learn. Which is what I told, that Sanskrit class, when the teacher told me that you are totally taking over the class, either I could have just dismissed him and saying, what is his problem? I'm just trying to ask questions and I'm good. And so why should I not, a mind can say that. Because really I was not trying to impress others consciously. I could be just dismissive, or I can learn and I can say, hey, let me not just be focused on myself. Let me take everybody else along with me. And to be aware of that. So either people give you feedback about who you are, or life gives you feedback. Right? And then you have to be open to see, hey, this is the feedback I'm getting, I better change a little bit. Right? Otherwise I keep getting into the same situations again and again and again.
Yeah, what I was missing and you are addressing now is this topic of Kshanti, that you were putting it like, some people have problems, how do I deal with them? But the first thing is, of course, how do I deal with it? Otherwise you become the therapist, and then you're safe and you can deal with other people. But now you address this self-denial, and it is a self-denial. So now I'm quite happy.
Right, it's a self-denial. Simply, that's the thing, right? We are not here trying to reform everybody, but we have to look at our behaviors, right? And how is our relationship with people around us?
Yeah, that's the first accommodation.
That's the first accommodation. Yeah.
Just clarify, Shanti, or is it Kshanti? Is there a K in front?
Yeah, there is a K in front.
Oh.
As I told you, because Shanti, the meaning of Shanti is peace.
Yes.
But here, as when I started the value, because yesterday afternoon you were not there, so when I said this is not Shanti, this is Shanti, in Sanskrit it is like this, Shanti. And Shanti is like this.
Would you pronounce it the same?
No, because you add ka, ksha, ksha, not sha.
Well, that might take me 10 years.
Shanti.
And what does the ksha stand for?
Ksha is a different, in Sanskrit alphabet, there is something called Sha, like Shiva, and Kshatriya. Kshatriya is this Ksha. Kshatriya. It's not this. It's Kshatriya. These two are different words. This is written like this, and this is written like this.
So Kshanti is not a modification of Shanti.
No. They are different alphabets altogether.
Yeah.
I have a question. I have been a seeker always my whole life, so now moksha is very important for me. And but it is very difficult to speak with Marion about it, and she doesn't understand. So I wonder how I don't speak often about it, but sometimes, and it's very difficult to speak about it because she has not been, her own words, she never has been a seeker. And when we speak about liberation, she says it's my liberation. And moksha doesn't say her nothing. So how do I?
That is true. That if you have you're talking about your spouse. Yeah, exactly. So if you have a spouse who doesn't understand what you're doing, and they may just wonder, what are you doing? What are you chasing, right? And so it's hard, but I think they may not understand. See, sometimes what happens is how we talk about it also, right? Because suppose you talk about it as something that, oh, I want moksha and I want the truth and I want to know that I'm Brahman and all. They don't understand what you're talking about, right? So because it's like, oh, what is this person? So I think what I would do is use simple language. I want to evolve as a human being. I want to be closer to truth. I want to remove my biases. I want to remove my subjectivities. And I want to be in touch with what is. Because really this is what it is. Then what happens is, they don't think, because otherwise what happens is, they may think that you are into some, God knows, some intellectual nonsense. And they are just kind of, either brainwashing you, or you are in some some esoteric goal which is we don't even know whether it is achievable or not. Do you understand? So I think it's very, very important, and this I tell all my students. In the classroom, we have to use some technical terms, because it's part of, like you go to medical school, there are medical terms, you can't avoid it, because they give you something specific. But outside the classroom, don't use those terms because it makes no sense to anybody else. And they think they don't understand, and they wonder, what are you talking about? And then what happens is sometimes, this is something which is not once, and this is the truth. Swamiji, of course, he teaches all the Upanishads and Brahma Sutra, so he has to use very technical language in the class. But outside the classroom, never, when he talks to people, never I have heard him talking about, just in a conversation, Maya, Mithya, Upadhi. Never. Because these are not conversational the terms. Do you understand? You don't need to.
It immediately puts the other down at some level,
Absolutely.
doesn't it? You become the...
You become that somebody who... And then, not only... See, for you, either that person feels you're down, or that person thinks you're in some trip.
Yeah, which is the case.
So, the first thing about Vedanta is just be normal. Normal. Normal means, suppose you tell somebody that I want to be a good human being, it will not push buttons. That I want to, free myself from all the complexes. I want to be closer to the truth of things, and I want to live with freedom. I think people will appreciate you. Because the other things, see, everybody is not ready for moksha. It's not in the radar yet. But you don't want to intimidate them. You don't want to create a sense of conflict. But nobody can, if you are a seeker of the truth, nobody can stop you.
Yeah,
Nobody
that's
can stop.
wonderful statements.
Impossible. So I will tell you a story, and this is a real story. So, of course it's a real story. So when I was, in my 20s, I wanted to leave my job, and I wanted to go and study with Swamiji in Coimbatore, this Anekati ashram. Some of you have been there. Now you can think about my parents.
Yeah.
Right? Because, in India, it's definitely, especially in 90s, it was definitely not common for women who were young to go to an ashram and study. They thought I was cuckoo. Right? And I was not I had a good job, I was doing well in life and all. And I just one day announced that I'm going to leave it all, and I'm going to go to an ashram and study for 3.5 years. So they were like, what are you doing? Right? And then luckily my parents were not like so forceful, but they would like ask me questions, like, what is this knowledge and what are you talking about? And why can't you? And they asked me, that we don't have any problem in you inquiring about things. But why do you have to leave everything? Why can't you do both together? You can still continue to work and you can listen to the classes. Why do you have to give up everything? Then they asked me that suppose when you graduate, you're going to be in your early 30s. What's going to be your future? You have whole life ahead of you. And they are legitimate questions, right? I mean, they are not like, any parent would think about, their children and what they are doing and, participate in their life and whatever. So, if I had said that, oh no, moksha I want, then they would have thought that she's again on some trip. What moksha? Right? But I spoke to them in a nice manner, and I said, you know what, today, right? One thing I did, I don't know, but it was coming from my heart, which then, they gave up the resistance.
Mhm.
And that is only for me, right? And it came from my heart. It is not a prepared answer. But I told them that if I were to leave the earth today, suppose, or tomorrow, what is it that I would regret not having done the most? This. Then I said, if that means it's really important for me. And if it is really important for me, and if I don't do it, and I do something else, that doesn't gel with me. You need to identify what is the most important thing for you, and you have to dedicate your life to that. That's how I am. And I think when I said that, and I said, after the course, really I don't know what is going to happen. I don't know in which direction my life is going to go. But I know that I will be able to handle, and I'll be able to manage myself. And somehow, that made them somehow convinced that I was not getting carried away emotionally by some guru, and I just wanted to go and follow him. And it didn't seem like, some kind of a person who is completely caught in some, a mad dream or, I sounded reasonable. And I think that's what kind of convinced them that, yeah, she's not an unreasonable human being, and she knows what she's doing, and let her, and she's confident, let her, she's not being brainwashed by people, and she's not being, taken in by some cult who may abuse her. So I think once they saw that, then what happened is they gave me that, they were happy that I went, and they came to visit me when I was studying, and they knew Swamiji. So then it turned out really well. But what I'm saying is, speak simple language. Because for others, right, these terms, they are intimidating and they don't understand. And in their vision, you are on some trip, chasing some mirage. So the more you normalize it, right, the more, yeah.
Yeah, that's actually what you say. If you speak from the heart, we all have a heart.
Absolutely.
And that is really, everyone understands that.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Speak from a certain depth,
Yes.
certain authenticity, and from your heart and your understanding, and
Yes.
not terminology.
Yeah.
This terminology I'm allergic to. People just throw words. God knows what they mean, and it's all their own confusion, but hidden behind technical words.
Well, you can know when you use a word, you know your spouse. You can know if they
You can
understand it or
understand.
not before
Absolutely.
already. Or you chase each other away, or you make it a separation, and then na 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 na. Or you just that's accommodation. It is, yeah.
One thing, Otto, I want to tell you, this is something which is very interesting. Perhaps, I don't want to reveal the identity, but perhaps you all know him because he is from Europe. But that's not the point, right? I don't want to indicate one person. But he is a young guy in his early 30s, and he had a girlfriend. And so initially he was going to some teachers, I don't know, and I don't want to get into that. But what happened is he kept having conflict with his girlfriend because he kept telling her that moksha is the most important for me. And then what happened is she felt like I'm not important for you. Right, in a relationship you want to feel as though you're the most important person for your spouse, right? So she said she kept feeling, and they were young, right? So it's not like they have already lived for 20 years, right? So then and he was almost like, oh, this is samsara. You know, they use all these technical words. I don't want to be in samsara. So all the more she feels rejected, right? Because she becomes like some samsara that he has to get rid of. Right? And then I want to be detached. That means what? That you have no place. Do you understand? This terminology is terrible.
That was happened.
And then this is what happens. So they had difficulty. Now, in one of my retreats in Germany, this young guy showed up, and I always ask everybody to introduce themselves. And you know what, he really caught my attention, because he said that, you know, I've learned a lot of Vedanta from all these male. I came searching for a female, and I want to see how a female teaches Vedanta. And I thought this was the first time I heard anything like this.
Yeah.
Because when I teach, I don't think of myself as male, female. I just a teacher and I teach. And then what happened is, as a result of what I was teaching or whatever, he started changing. His attitude towards relationship also changed. The relationship was not something that he had to, which was samsara, which would kind of entangle him. Relationship was a means for him to grow and recognize where are all the lacks and address all the lacks. Because when you interact closely with a human being, that's when you come to know what's going on with you. You get feedback. Sometimes not so pleasant.
Sometimes very much.
But what happened is, he started changing, and his relationship was much better. He was not disconnected into world of Brahman. He became much more human, much more real. And their relationship improved so much that in 2 years later, she came to my retreat.
Oh.
That's wonderful.
I tell you, it was so nice
Yeah.
to see her in my retreat. And she held my hand and she told me that I'm so happy. I see the changes in him, and he's so much more human. He's so much more loving. He's so much more real human being. These are the moments in my life which are gratifying, because I make a difference. I know I make a difference.
Nice.
So, relationships are beautiful. There also there is a certain order of Ishvara. I have only 2 minutes. There is an order of Ishvara in your life journey. You have a partner to support you. You have a partner who sometimes pushes your button, who helps you in your growth. Honor that relationship. Make the best of that relationship. Show your love in that relationship. Begin to accommodate the other person. Understand the other person. Support the other person. That is your growth. That is not against moksha. It will take you, it's a fast track to moksha.
Highway.
Highway.
So fast.
Just simple, authentic, loving, caring human being. That is so important. That is something that everybody has to strive first. Then the doors open up. And you can quietly walk that journey, right? So, and make yourself happy, and also make everybody around you happy, right? So, and nourish them. Not that they are all distraction to your goal. Who wants to feel like that? Nobody wants to.
Jens has had a song, Jens, and the song, the title is What If God Were One of Us?
Wow.
And that's so beautiful. I've been listening to it today, your song.
You found it?
Yeah,
Yeah, it's beautiful.
yeah, beautiful.
I know
Yeah.
it, it's beautiful.
Joan Osborne.
Yeah, Joan.
So, good. So now we have finished Shanti, and we will move to the next value. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Thank
Thank
you.
you. Yeah.
Thank you.